our 22 News Broadcast Center. This is 22 News in Focus. Today, examining the details of the community host agreement between Mohegan Sun and the town of Palmer. Here's Laura Hutchinson.
Good Sunday afternoon and welcome to 22 News in Focus. I'm Laura Hutchinson. The competition for a casino here in Western Massachusetts is heating up. Voters in Springfield passed the referendum and accepted a host community agreement with MGM International, while West Springfield residents voted no to a Hard Rock casino in their town. Now voters in Palmer will make a decision on November 5th as to whether they want Mohegan Sun to build a casino in their town. It is an important decision that affects a lot of people, so that's where 22 News in Focus comes in. Today we'll get the details of the Mohegan Sun proposal and the host community agreement. Joining me now to talk all about this, we have Paul Brody, Vice President of Development for Mohegan Sun, and we have Paul Burns, Palmer Town Councilor. Thank you both so much for being here. You've both been on our program before, and here we are moving forward, another step in this very long process that started for you back in 2006, you were saying.
That's correct.
So let's talk about this host community agreement that we've put together. Not many residents have the chance to leaf through the whole thing and understand it, so let's break it down for them. First of all, how happy are you with this agreement that you've put together?
I'm excited with the agreement, and you know, the town manager and Mohegan put it together. We got it after the fact, and, but I think also, you know, the council put it forward unanimously to the community. I think upon examination, you know, it's a truly strong agreement for the town of Palmer, and I think a fair agreement for Mohegan Sun. And I think it strikes an appropriate balance that is going to allow both entities to succeed appropriately in this environment. Okay,
let's talk about what's included in this. What do you think are some of the headliners of this one?
Well, let me start by thanking the town manager, Charlie Blanchard, who, along with his team, Laura, worked with us for almost 2 years to craft this agreement. And as you've seen, there's a lot of work that's gone into all of them. The highlights, as we see it, are certainly the funds being provided to the town of Palmer up front before the casino opens, which includes enormous amount of infrastructure improvement in the community, and then the continuing commitment by Mohegan Sun to make substantial payments on an annual basis. And to break that down into some numbers, there will be approximately $23 million in improvements to local systems like water resources, that's wastewater and sewer and fresh water, roadway improvements, a new public works building, and an additional capital for the town of Palmer to put in place a number of improvements that actually go way beyond just the impact of the casino. City improvement, streetscape improvement, and the like. Thereafter, once the casino opens, Laura, we're committed to making a minimum payment beginning in year one of over $15 million a year. It's really a payment in lieu of taxes. It's equivalent to a tax payment, and that's the floor. In all likelihood, even in the first year, that amount will be more towards $17 or $18 million. There are some percentages built into the formula. And it goes up every year thereafter on a cost of living accelerator. So it's exciting for us to have worked this out. We think, and we believe the town manager certainly believes, it addresses all impacts that are measurable at this time. There are provisions to reopen it if we discover, and the town discovers, there's some things that need to be addressed. And it creates a platform for what might be a significant reduction in property taxes.
How will some of these figures be compromised, if at all, if, say, the facility goes up and it doesn't bring in as much revenue as expected? Will that be altered at all, some of those figures?
The $15.2 million a year, as it increases on a cost of living index, does not go down. That's a floor, regardless of the income or what we call the gross gaming revenue that the casino will produce. We certainly have expectations and projections that the revenues will be high enough to increase that number by $2 or $3 million, but under no circumstances will it ever be less than the $15.2 million.
Okay, so it sounds like it can fluctuate in there, but there are minimums and maximums.
It can go up, it can't go down.
Okay, very good.
How's that?
Now
If I could just jump in
Yeah.
there, I think one of the things that we're talking just about the pilot money and the dedicated payments from Mohegan Sun, I think we have to look also at the payments that are going to be generated by the hotels tax, by the meals tax. So suddenly you're looking at a project that truly generates close to $21 million a year in revenue for the community. That's an unheard of amount for a community of our size. And Paul alluded to some of the infrastructure changes and some of the improvements. Things like people complain about their concerns about traffic and how how the casino will impact traffic in Palmer. If you look now, we have, almost every night of the week you have difficulty getting off the turnpike at exit 8. And I think once the casino is in place, much of that issue is going to be resolved. It's certainly not in Mohegan Sun's interest to have traffic sitting on the pike. And so we're going to be able to resolve an issue that's a current issue that we have no means to resolve, that will be resolved once the casino opens. Additionally, we're a community of 12,000 people. It's unheard of for a community our size to have a full-time fire department. And upon completion of this agreement and attainment of a license, we're going to have a full-time fire department. We're going to increase our police department by 50% in size, and there's real possibility for significant tax relief in our community. And significant, up to, the town manager is quoted today in the Palmer Journal as much as 40%. That's
Now,
a significant improvement.
Are there any property tax guarantees included in this?
Well, I think the host community agreement is the wrong place to do that. Ultimately, this is the town council's decision on just how to administer funds, and that's legally and constitutionally the town council's role. So for the host community agreement to say that, geez, you're going to reduce property taxes by X amount, it might make some sense to put a floor in there, but to set an amount, once you set that amount in the host community agreement, it's written in stone. So if things change down the road, if we wanted to increase that amount, depending upon how it was written, you may not be able to. And I think it makes much more sense to leave the funds in the general fund and let the process that occurs now, let the town council decide where the funding is spent.
Okay, and how about the jobs that you're bringing in? Is there anything specific to target local people or regional, or is there going to be any kind of process there?
There is, and there has been for a long time, Laura. We made it, we're on the record, and we've made it clear that the first employment opportunities will be in the town of Palmer. Our first job fairs will be in Palmer, and we will roll those out not long after the license is issued to Mohegan Sun. On a larger scale, after the residents of Palmer have had a first shot, if you will, at these jobs, we will expand the job fairs largely into the greater Springfield market. As we've also said here on this show, it's critical to Mohegan Sun that we tap into the Springfield labor market. We'll need so many people, over 3,000 jobs for us at this facility. That doesn't include some of the amenities, the water park, and some of the retail that will produce jobs. We need 3,000 employees, so we will be looking seriously into this market, and it was one of the important criterion that we looked at when we made a selection to be in Palmer.
Okay, we are going to continue this conversation in just a minute. I want to talk about, after the break, I wanted to quickly talk about how this proposal really stands out from some of the other proposals, MGM in particular, obviously. So we're going to talk about that after this. So stay with us. You're watching 22 News in Focus. Welcome back to 22 News in Focus. Today we are talking about the host community agreement in the town of Palmer and Mohegan Sun, and we are joined once again here by Paul Brody, Vice President of Development for Mohegan Sun, and Paul Burns, Palmer Town Council. Again, thank you so much for joining us. So the big important next step here is to win over the Palmer voters November 5th. How confident are you going into this? I know that Palmer has passed similar questions, referendum like this in the past. However, now we have an actual proposal on our hands. What is the vibe that you're getting?
I think it's a good, strong proposal. I think Palmer voters are, I think to their credit, they're paying attention to the issue. They want to study it. They're reading the document. But I think when they're all done with it, and as the conversations move forward, people understand that this is a huge win for the taxpayers in the town of Palmer. And I think when the vote comes, I think it will pass in the town of Palmer.
Both feeling confident will pass?
We are, and when we made a decision to be in Palmer, Laura, we had looked at indications in town that the residents would support casino gaming. They had had a successful, non-binding referendum in the late 90s We did some polling. We talked to folks. Having said all that, we take nothing for granted. We will be having at least 3 open houses at our storefront over the next 6 weeks. We know that the town manager is making his office available on 3 other occasions for folks to come in and ask questions. We have a full campaign. We're running this like a campaign. The folks in Palmer deserve to hear all the information, and we will provide everything. We'll be totally transparent in that process.
Okay. What about the Gaming Commission? One thing that the Gaming Commission has always said when we speak with them is that they are looking for that wow factor to stand out from other proposals. In this case, MGM and Springfield is your big competition here. So what do you think, what are some of the elements included in this proposal that you think will stand out from theirs?
Well, the 2 applications, as they move up to the state level, will be in stark contrast to each other. We are on 152 acres of land, some of which is not developable. It might be wet, it might have some ledge, but a great deal of it is. So we're working on a large parcel of land. So we're going to bring that wow factor as it's been baked into the legislation, and as Commissioner Crosby has stated a number of times, as you point out, that he wants to see. So in addition to the casino, which will be beautiful, PKF has been brought on. They were the ones who designed Mohegan Sun. It'll be a spectacular building. We will have over 300,000 square feet of retail, and we call it entertainment retail, associated with the casino, movie theaters, cinema, bowling alleys, an enormous amount of additional space occupied beyond just the gaming experience. And added to that, on the other side of the facility and connected to the building, will be a world-class water park, an aqua center. Folks around here may have been to the one at Jay Peak. These are world-class centers, and it too will have a hotel. We will have zip lines. We have 152 acres. We'll have hiking trails. We clearly have pieced together a wonderful, beautiful application that is a resort. It'll truly be a resort with hundreds and hundreds of rooms, with activities way beyond gaming and dining. In addition to which, we've reached out and developed a program for retailers and businesses throughout the region to participate. It's how we make available the use of our player points throughout all these other points of sale at businesses from as far east, maybe as Sturbridge Village, down to the Hall of Fame, and everybody in between. We already have 60 businesses that have signed letters of intent to be in that program. So both on-site and off-site, this has a lot of wow factor, just what Commissioner Crosby has asked for.
Where do you think the majority of your customers will be coming from? Are you sort of targeting New York and Vermont? Are you thinking the Worcester area? Are you thinking people will come up from Connecticut? What are, after doing some of your own polling, what are you thinking, where are you thinking all the people are going to be coming from?
Well, you've named it, so it's all of the above. We'll largely see a linear demand across the Mass Pike. That's the main line for the facility. It's the main line for the state. We've had strong interest all the way east to the Boston suburbs, folks who will choose not to travel through the city of Boston and instead will come west to Palmer. We know that we'll draw into the Albany, Schenectady, and Troy area. We expect to reach into northern Connecticut and up 91 into Vermont and New Hampshire. So it's a very strong demographic. We're estimating close to 4 million visits a year at the casino.
4 million visits a year?
4 million visits, that's
Now,
correct.
how do the other properties do? Because, you know, when you hear about other gaming, you know, casinos and all that and how they're doing in this economic climate, how are your other properties doing financially? And, you know, what do you, how do you, that must be how you're at least gauging some of this.
Well, we understand the industry. We are the New England gaming operator. Our property in Connecticut is the highest grossing casino in North America. We have over 11 million visits a year to the Connecticut property. Our property in Pennsylvania, again in sort of a suburban rural area, has done, is performing beyond projections. We also now have an interest in the facility, the original casino in Atlantic City, Resorts International. So we are a very regional company. With a real high quality brand and an extremely strong database. We'll bring our database into this Massachusetts property. We'll, day one, have hundreds of thousands of names that we will devote and dedicate exclusively to the Massachusetts property. The industry has experienced a downturn during the depths of the Great Recession. Our numbers in Connecticut have stabilized and are starting to turn up. There's much more competition in this industry than there was 3 or 4 years ago. But we know New England. This is where we're from. This is where we do business.
Now, you have to understand that as far as the numbers are concerned with people who are interested in this, I mean, are you finding that there is, from when you started this, 2006, 2007, are you still seeing the same interest, across the board? We noticed a different vibe in the different communities. Are people still on board 100%? Are people starting to turn a little as they hear some of the negative side effects that can come with a casino? How do you think about the support base in Western Mass? Because you have to know that you do have a no group that's coming into town and is going to be working against you. And
some are in town and some are in neighboring communities, and we respect the fact that there are people who don't support casino gaming. The property will be a resort and an entertainment facility. One of the engines at this property will clearly be the casino. The water park, which will stand side by side with the Jay Peaks of the world, Wisconsin Dells, Hershey, Pennsylvania, is a major driver, is a major engine. The cinemas and the entertainment retail complex is a driver. So we understand what the customer wants today. The customer wants a variety. Our Connecticut property is a good example of that. We've expanded the amenities. Earlier this year, we announced a $50 million expansion in Connecticut, none of which will expand the gaming product. It's all about retail and entertainment. So we are listening to the customer base, and we're providing the type of amenities and opportunities that they say they want to participate in.
So it sounds like your answer to the people who are very much against casinos is the other aspect of this outside of casinos. That's the part that you're going to be pushing.
I could just jump on that for a minute, Laura. I think a part of it is, and part of it's in your question, that the people who are opposed, an awful lot of them are from outside of the community. And I think that has to be acknowledged. Unlike West Springfield or Springfield, where the opposition groups were internal, and at least they appear to be internal. We might see something different when the actual campaign reports come out in West Springfield. But certainly in Springfield, they were internal in the community. For whatever reason, Palmer seems suddenly to have attracted a group of people from outside the community that want to influence what the people of Palmer are going to vote on. And I think ultimately this has to be a decision that the people of Palmer decide upon. Not Kathleen Norbert from Munson, not Nathan Leck from West Springfield, but the voters in Palmer. They need to sit down and look at this, and I think they will. I think unique in Western Mass, and probably unique in Massachusetts, is that the voters in Palmer have studied this issue literally for 15 years. Nobody else has done this in the kind of depth and detail that we have.
Very good.
And I think that's going to make a very big difference in terms of how and why there's been so little local opposition.
Okay, Paul and Paul, I want to thank you both so much for coming on here. It'll be a very interesting vote. We'll be watching it closely. And after this, we are going to talk with a grassroots organization that is working to help inform the residents of Palmer about this casino project. So you can hear about that after this. Stay with us. You're watching 22 News in Focus. Welcome back to 22 News in Focus. We have been speaking with representatives of the town of Palmer and Mohegan Sun about the host community agreement and plans for a casino in Palmer. Palmer residents will vote on a referendum question on Tuesday, November 5th on whether to approve the plan. And many people are wondering how they can learn more about the proposal and how it will affect you. Joining me now, we have Elaine Boone and David Whitney, both representatives of Yes for Palmer, here to talk to us about some of the events coming up to get the word out. It was nice to hear some of the details of the proposal and hear from the company in particular, but now it's important to know how residents, both for and against casinos. Obviously, there are many people in the region who are against casinos, that are going to want to hear the details of this. And the two of you have been very active with getting the word out about this. So why don't you talk to us about what we have coming up in the town of Palmer?
Well, Elaine's been working on this for about 17 years now as former town selectman, and I've been involved for 5 years, so it does go back quite a ways. People who have questions can come to open houses that our campaign headquarters on Main Street will be hosting them. And Elaine has details about that. We also will be visiting with the Palmer Senior Center, the AmVets Club, St. Joseph's Club. Our town manager, Charles Blanchard, is going to have open evening office hours so people can come and get their questions answered in depth. People can find the host community agreement on the town website. It's available to be downloaded, and people who don't have computer access can also go and get a copy for themselves at the Selectman's office.
And are you finding a lot of people having interest in learning more about this? What are you, as people who are involved in the community, what are you hearing?
Absolutely, Laura. People of Palmer are hardworking people, and they are asking a lot of questions, and it's up to us as the official volunteer committee for Mohegan to provide answers to their questions. Yes for Palmer. You can also go on to mohegansunma.com on our website. You can also become a member of our Facebook page, and there's just a wealth of accurate information on there that answers so many questions that the residents may have, which is really important. But also a lot of what we have been doing as a volunteer group, and we understand, you know, our community, as does Mohegan Sun, is we've been doing things, community conversations, whether it is standing on street corners with some signs and people come up to us and ask questions and we're able to interact, or it's going to the various organizations, intimate, one-on-one, whatever it may be. Our charge is to ensure that the citizens, if they have questions, that those questions are answered, and they're answered accurately.
Now, one thing I'm hearing from people in Palmer, just from covering this over the years, is that people move to Palmer and the surrounding communities because they enjoy the sort of quiet atmosphere, you know, and this really could possibly interrupt that. This is a very busy entity we're talking about, you know, whether you see that as a good thing or a bad thing. So what would you say to those people who are feeling like this is going to kind of disturb their way of life in Palmer?
Well, you know, people do move to Palmer because it's such a beautiful town, but people are also moving away from Palmer. I taught for 35 years in the public schools, and so I had probably up to 1,000 students, and I just don't see them around town because they have to move away because there's just no opportunity. So if this project provides opportunity for people to grow up and stay in Palmer, they're our legacy. The students and the children are our legacy. They're also our future. So if this is an opportunity for them to stay and have meaningful employment so they can enjoy the beauty of the town, I think it's a net gain.
And your response to things like the traffic and the crime that people are concerned about as well.
I think that the group, Mr. Paul Brody and Mr. Paul Burns, they've answered so many of those questions wonderfully. And you know, a lot of that again is on the Mohegan Sun site, but again, we've been involved in this process for over 17 years. The research and the socio impact studies and so forth that have gone through this, and a lot of that has already been answered for the community. In terms of what David has been saying, it'd be great to have young people who are graduating from our local schools to be able to stay into the community as well.
Elaine and David, I want to thank you so much, and we will put this meeting information that you've brought for us on our website as well. Thank you both so much for joining us, and we're going to have the last word for you after the break. Stay with us. You're watching 22 News in Focus. Thanks to our guests and you at home for joining us. Have a great Sunday. We'll see you next week.